Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! Wow, I'm Chewy Mew. Welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today we're going to be taking a look at a figure that I've had for quite a while, that I've already taken a look at, but this time it is now a custom, and that is the ToyBiz Spider-Man Classics Mysterio. So here he is, right off the bat. You may notice some customizing to him, and that is that all of the black paint wash that was on his boots and all of his green costume is now a sort of a lime green, a neon green or lime green, and the boots have yellow to them. So I decided to do a repaint and sort of customize it to make it kind of look like it's kind of like glow in the dark, I guess. I did use glow in the dark paint, and this is the result. Oh no, I need both of these off. Yeah, the glow in the dark, I guess it didn't work. Let me. Okay, there we go. Because you see the colors, everything turned kind of bluish. There we go. Because like the light made it kind of weird. But yeah, so it didn't work at all, which is kind of stupid. Not even on. Did it work on the back? Because it's been exposed. It's been in front of. No, it didn't work. Because it's been exposed. To that. That's just white. That's not glowing. It's been exposed to this light that I have right up here for this whole time. Oops. It's been exposed to the light, so I don't know why it didn't. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the glow-in-the-dark paint doesn't work, but also it was like $2 glow-in-the-dark paint, so I wouldn't expect it to work super good. It did work with other customs, like my custom Spider-Man 3 New Goblin. It didn't work here, though, and that's fine. The reason, sometimes, some of the reasons why I customize figures is because they break in some way, they suffer some kind of damage, my dog gets it, or I just come with like a spark of brilliance and I decide, hey, I could probably improve this. But most times, if a figure isn't broken or there's nothing wrong with it, I'm not going to customize it. It's only if something happens to the figure, you know? And what happened to this figure was, so he had a button on the back that when you press it, his heads would rotate and there was a light on it. And somehow, when I pressed it, the button inside broke, and then the battery stopped working too somehow. So I unscrewed it, I took the screw out and stuff. The battery seemed to be fine. I actually took it off, and I put it in the ToyBiz Beetle figure, which it needs like 2 batteries, and this only has like 2, or no, that one needs 3, and this one only has 2, so it didn't work. And so I just patched this up. I just cut off the rest of the button, because I mean it's old, so it's not all these figures are bound to, you know, be in pristine quality forever. And also, this if we look at the bottom of the foot here, I think it says 2005. 2005. I got this in like 2006 at a yard sale. I didn't get this guy new, so that's why I don't have any of the accessories left. But let's be honest, if I would have gotten it as like a 5-year-old brand new, I probably would have lost all the stuff anyway. You know, it's a miracle I somehow didn't lose Dr. Octopus's tentacles, which this was the custom that I did in the last video where I showed off this custom trench coat and I fixed his tentacles, or not trench coat, lab coat. And yeah, so I did this custom a few weeks ago actually, because I was like, you know what, it broke like a couple months ago, and then like it wasn't until like 2-ish weeks ago that I was like, you know, I might as well just like customize it or try to improve something. And so so I did, and one of the improvements I did was it's not really an improvement. I don't think I improved the figure. I kind of more just modified it. It's like an alternate custom, you know, in a way. Like unlike Dr. Octopus, I did improve it by making the tentacles not floppy, because most times most of the tentacles, this one's kind of drooping down, but all tentacles would just be drooping, laying on the ground. And then I also added like an additional ab section. It's not a joint, it's just an ab section, because he went from stomach to crotch, which is kind of weird. Like his gut went right down to his groin. He was missing like, you know, like the waistline. This guy, I didn't improve it. If anything, I kind of ruined it in a way. The paint apps I think the paint apps look good. It gives it more of like a sort of a glowing kind of look to it, which I kind of like. The original one had like a black heavy wash, which also looks really cool. But I don't know. I wanted to try something. I want to try something different. And boom, you can see there right off the bat, the helmet does come off. In the process, I decided just, you know, try to remove the helmet. And some people do have complaints with this figure. You know, there's those people that they're going to complain that, oh, the finger joints are dumb, or the toe joints are dumb, or the ball joints are dumb. You know, people complain about those kind of things. It's not really an issue with me. It's kind of more just like a different style, is that he doesn't have the very oval, or like, not oval, like a very spherical shaped head. It's kind of more like a dome on top, where most Mysterio characters looks like a fishbowl resting on his body, whereas this looks like a dome on his head. For me, it's not an issue. It's not a bad thing. It's just an artistic choice. Artistic choice style, an artistic choice ToyBiz decided to do, or you know what I mean. ToyBiz decided to do it like this instead of doing like the more like classic comic book looking design, which I like. I like this one. If it looked normal too, I'd be fine with that as well. As far as the costume, it is pretty accurate to what he looked like in the comic books, except the boots would have been this bright, should have been this bright, like orange or yellowy orangish kind of color to match this. I don't want to repaint the boots. I wanted to just put wash in the grooves, because what I could do is I could just boil this figure and then just like rub it off. But if I paint it, it'd be a lot more work, you know. So this way is easier. Also, for my original figure, the ab crunch, or not the ab crunch, he doesn't have an ab crunch unfortunately because the gimmick, which I'm fine with. He did, his waist was broken in my original review, and I managed to fix it using like some fodder pieces along with some drilling and a bunch of stuff. It's a whole separate thing. I didn't make a video of it because, you know, I just didn't. Oops, I dropped this Lego sword on the ground. That's fine. Fun fact, Mysterio can actually almost hold Lego swords. Never mind, he can't. He can hold it by the handle, though. I mean, I don't know, in case he wants to, like, stab Spider-Man. I don't know. That was just on my desk, and I was kind of fiddling with it. But what it can do, you can see here, the dome removes. And because the button is broken, the heads can't rotate. When you press them, they spin like this. Admittedly, they didn't spin, you know, to have the face lined up just right like this. They would spin, and they'd be kind of off-centered a little bit. But the faces on this guy, you can really appreciate them now that the dome is off. It's an interesting-looking head sculpt. I don't know if it looks like Quentin Beck, because most times you don't really see his face. But, I mean, it looks like a human face. It looks good. Then you got an alien face. Looks like something out of X-Files, which, you know, also looks pretty cool. But this face is my favorite. It does look kind of like Doomsday, which I think it looks cool. I don't know why this kind of face, but I think it looks pretty cool. That's probably my favorite one. Whenever I play with this as a kid, usually it would be this. I would usually have this face as the main face that he had on. You can see they don't line up perfectly straight in the middle. I mean, they kind of do, but they don't line up. It's not perfectly, you know, perfectly lined up. You know, like his face is straight on facing us, but all the figures, all these heads are kind of like slightly off to the side. Just enough to be weird, but not enough to be like a big deal. And so you can take the dome off here. Also take up the cape. Unfortunately, because the light switch is destroyed, I ended up taking off the light switch because, you know, it was just in the way, and I decided to make him some new accessories. Like, I made this dome. This is using a plastic ball that I got from Goodwill. So I bought this bag of Goodwill stuff, and it had 3 figures that I made a video, and then I didn't like it, so I deleted it. But then I eventually just opened the package, so I'm gonna review those eventually. But this was a ball that came with these figures that it almost fits perfectly, and you can see if you rotate it right. Some angles, the way I had to cut it, because this ball material is weird, you can see like a gap here. But if you have it lined up like this, I mean, you can see a gap like under the neck, but that's because the neck joint has this kind of weird, it's not a joint, but it kind of rocks because it's spring loaded, so it's not going to sit perfectly flat like, you know, like a regular non-spring loaded joint. But you can see that fits on there good. And then I also made a custom cape that is, compared to his, maybe a bit too short. It's a bit too short, but you just go ahead and plop that on here. And you gotta put the cape on first, or else it'll probably rip. You spin the heads here so it gets locked under the neck, or under the heads there. Plop this on, and there actually is a specific head that I gotta put it on. I think like this way. I don't know. It is a little finicky. But also, you got to keep in mind that these are pieces that were not even meant to go together. But boom, there you go. Yeah, the cape is a bit short. If we put this over top, double cape, boom, there you go. You can see the cape is a bit shorter. This cape was actually intended for my custom Prowler. Shout out to Mr. L, who I made the Prowler custom. I didn't make it for him, but I made it, and then he was able to guess which custom it was, which custom I was making based on like the prototype version. And he guessed it, so I made this custom, you know, like, it's dedicated to him now. Not this one, though, but the other one is. And so this cape was one of those capes that didn't work. It was just a regular fabric. And then I decided to use a piece of wire and fabric adhesive to wire in a piece of fabric in here, so that way it's kind of bendable. You can see that you can kind of get the cape like bending and stuff. I'm not the best posing wire capes. I didn't put them here in the sides just because it was... It's a little more work, and I didn't really have enough wire, and a lot of excuses I could give you guys, but ultimately, I kind of didn't feel like it. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool there. This looks more like a classic style, minus the yellow lines. That's kind of more like something I decided to do, not because it looks too accurate to anything, but just because I wanted to do it. Because having the black lines is very accurate to what he looked like, to what Mysterio looks like, especially like in the 60s and 70s comic books. But I think he looks pretty cool like this. Yeah, I think it looks cool just if the cape was a bit longer. And it is a very obviously purple color, whereas this one is a sort of purple pinkish kind of mix. I'm terrible at saying color names. And also, it's not a... If I was able to put a wire on this cape, at least if I put it on the one side, that would be cool. But yeah, but this is how the figure looks with the custom cape and the custom head sculpt. As far as articulation goes, it's the same figure, just with this head. I mean, I guess technically you could rotate the head all the way around if you want, but probably just gonna keep it which way? Keep it like that. There you go. Push it down like that. But let's go over articulation anyway. You can move the arms up all the way. Even with the dome, they still only go up this high. Oops. They can rotate all the way around here. You can rotate here in the bicep. You have a double bend in the elbow, which is... Wow, I thought it was a lot tighter than that. Oh, no, that one's not as tight. Some joints here, like the ball joint moving up and down is really tight. Your rotation here in the glove, you get a hinge in the wrist, and then you get a finger joint like this, which basically is only good for like a fist. On this side, you get like an open hand, which you can... I kind of like to splay the fingers out like he's kind of like projecting something like that, or you could just have it kind of more like a relaxed hand. He does have a waist swivel, which this one does not work as effectively. The original waist swivel works perfectly fine like this. You know, you get fluid motion. This one is slightly loose. This one is not the most perfect rotation. You can see there's gaps in here just because the way I had to customize it in order to fix it. The legs kick up this high. They kind of go back-ish. You can do the splits. You have an upper thigh rotation here. You got double bend in the knee, which this one's pretty tight. A really good double bend in the knee, though. Then you get a rotation here in the boot. You get ankle pivot, which is really good. You can spread his legs out that far, which is pretty cool. You can ankle pivot outwards, too, in case you want to do that for some reason. This ankle joint is getting kind of messed up here. Like the pin is kind of popping out here. And then the foot goes all the way up, all the way back. Then you can bend the toe down and up, or up and down. I did that reversed. But yeah, so the articulation on this guy is basically perfect ToyBiz posability. All you're really missing is like a ball joint torso or an ab crunch. I mean, I'm pretty sure if ToyBiz really tried, which, I mean, you can't really blame them for it. They made it with a gimmick. They could probably have thrown in like some kind of ball joint, which might be asking a bit much, but they probably could have maybe thrown a ball. No, I don't think they could, because these batteries are pretty large. They're like the size of this circle here, and you have like 2 or 3 of them in here. I don't know if it was 2 or 3, but you did have a... I don't really think it'd be possible to give this guy like an ab crunch or like a ball joint. Definitely not an ab crunch. Maybe they could have given like a ball joint in the waist, but it's not a big deal considering Mysterio isn't like, you know, a character like in some fighting stance. I feel like a character that really needs ab crunches are like the more athletic, like, you know, kind of fist fighter characters. Obviously, Spider-Man, 100% Spider-Man needs an ab crunch. You know, characters like Kraven, maybe Sandman, Venom, Electro, those kind of characters I feel like need an ab crunch more. Unfortunately, the ToyBiz Sandman does, or the ToyBiz, what's this guy called? Kraven the Hunter does not have an ab crunch, which is, you know, kind of unfortunate. That's the only issue with that figure. But yeah, but this is as far as the custom goes, here's what it is. I think it looks pretty cool, and it, you know, one thing I started to do lately with some customs, not all of them, but a few customs I've been doing it. I've done it with, is making a custom that can sort of you could put these all on top of each other. That's cool, like double costume. One thing I've been able to do is making customs that have some like swappable pieces, like you can like costume changes in a way. Like I did with Dr. Octopus, where I can have this version with this cloth lab coat, or I could have just the regular plastic one that he comes with, or like I did with like custom Peter B. Parker. Go check that video out, where it's like you can have him in his Into the Spider-Verse costume or his civilian clothes, or you could have him fully suited Spider-Man, and also something with like you know, the Human Spider custom, or I've been starting to do customs like that where you can like swap out body parts other than just like a head swap, which is cool. Or like hand swaps or whatever, which is kind of whatever to me. But have like, you know, swappable capes and accessories like this, you know? I think that's kind of cool customs. But either way, let me just think about this custom. and I will see you guys in the next review. Wow.